This programme is sponsored by Ava Media. Brilliant quality for a great price. Welcome to the first ever weekend here at Argentina for the GP2 season. I am JWF1, your presenter, and we are here for the feature and sprint races of the Buenos Aires weekend for GP2. So, testing has already happened and it looked quite interesting and it's looking like a very close championship indeed. So, I think first of all, without further ado, let's introduce the teams and drivers for Season 1 of GP2. So starting off then with Adidas Motorsport. They are run by Matthew Dummer and are a German team. They were initially called Dummer Racing, but after an Adidas partnership, they are now known as Adidas Motorsport. Their driver lineup is very interesting. They have gone with 2013 GP2 champion Fabio Lima, and he is joined by current IndyCar driver and former GRM employer Connor Daly. Next up is Alitalia Junior Team. They are the feeder series team to Scuderia Racing and have got a very interesting driver lineup indeed thanks to their partnership with Alitalia. They've gone with an Indonesian lineup. They have gone with Sean Galal, who is the Scuderia Racing test driver, and he is joined by current Manor Formula 1 driver Rio Haryanto. Next up is EYDPGP, a very interesting name indeed as it stands for Etihad Young Drivers Program Grand Prix, and yes, they are the feeder series team to Etihad Racing. The driver lineup is very interesting indeed, as they have gone with the lineup that Renault were using in the 2016 Formula 1 World Championship, that being Kevin Magnussen and 2014 GP2 champion Jolyon Palmer. Next up is Fantari Racing. They are an Italian team and are run by Michael Moron. The driver lineup though, as predicted, is an all-Italian lineup. They have gone with GP2 veteran Raffaele Marcello, and he is joined by GP3 driver Luca Giotto. Next up is GRM Junior, and as predicted, they are the feeder series team to GRM. It's quite obvious who one of their drivers was going to be, considering that one of their drivers is actually their test driver in the top class. And that is of course Simona Di Silvestro. She is partnered by Brit Nick Yellowly. Next up is Morin Joins Racing Jr. And yes, they are the feeder series team to Morin Joins Racing. So you would expect them, because of the fact they're in a top class, to go for a very interesting driver lineup. And they have. They have gone with once Manor driver Alexander Rossi, and he's also a current IndyCar driver. And he is joined by New Zealand driver Mitch Evans. Next up is Netflix Motorsport, originally called McDonald's Racing but then got changed to Netflix Motorsport. They're run by Cameron Anderson and their driver lineup is actually quite a familiar one. They have gone with 2012 GP2 champion David Falsecchi, and he is joined by Monaco fast driver Stefano Coletti. Next up is SG Motorsports. They are an Irish team with an all-American lineup. Their livery is based off the NASCAR that Brad Keselowski drives in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, although slightly tweaked to make sure every sponsor fits on the car. As I said, it's an all-American lineup, and they have actually gone with two IndyCar drivers. They have gone with Joseph Newgarden and Graham Rahal to fill the lineups. Next up is Steelers Racing. They are run by Connor Smith and are a British team. Their lineup is actually quite a familiar lineup from the 2015 GP2 series. They have gone with Stoffel Vandoorne, who is the test driver for Etihad Racing. He ended up being in this team due to an agreement between Etihad and Steelers in order to get Stoffel in the team, and he is joined by his former teammate from GP2, Nobuharu Matsushita. Next up is Willow's Grand Prix. They are run by Joseph Willows, and their driver lineup is looking very interesting. Their livery, even though it's quite a different colour, but how the sponsors are lined up is based on their AOR Pro Master Championship car that they had for 5 seasons. Their lineup is very interesting indeed. They have gone with Frenchman Pierre Gasly, and he is joined by Williams development driver Alex Lynn. And last but certainly not least, Yorkshire Motorsport, run by Matthew Redmore. They are, well, as you can tell by one of the main sponsors, are definitely from Yorkshire. Their lineup is very interesting indeed, with going for a former Formula 1 driver and a current Formula E driver. They have gone with Brit Will Stevens, and he is joined by German Daniel Abt. Here is the calendar then for Season 1 of IFMC GP2. Now, the tracks that they are not going to is Australia, Brazil, Canada and Japan. They are only going to one South American race, and the rest being the European circuits on the IFMC calendar. So they'll go to Argentina first, then they'll go to the Nürburgring, then San Marino, then Monaco, then Spain, missing out Canada. Then they'll go to France, Silverstone, then Germany, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, and then Austria being their last round. All of these races will consist of a feature and sprint race. The feature will consist of a 1 mandatory pit stop, and the sprint race just being a sprint to the finish. So there is your calendar and drivers and teams for Season 1 of the IFMC GP2 Championship. So there you go then. They are the Season 1 teams, drivers and calendar for IFMC GP2. 12 locations that they will be going to, with 24 races in total. Should be very interesting indeed. There will be 2 different point systems in feature and sprint races, the feature being the same as it is in the top class. However, in the sprint race, only the top 6 gets points, and the points will go from 6 to 1 down. The rest getting 0 points. So, now at this point, we would usually take you to the feature race after we show you the grid. However, unfortunately, we do not have coverage for the feature race, as unfortunately we were not able to download the footage in time from Twitch, which is kind of unfortunate. So the same problem that we had at Monza. So what we're going to show you instead is the grid for that race and the results and the championship at the end of that race. Plus we'll also talk about a little incident that happened in that race. So here we go then, and I'm really sorry for no footage for this race. There will be footage though for the sprint race, but unfortunately not for the feature race. So here you go. So here is the grid then for the feature race here in GP2. Alexander Rossi will start the first race on pole with Kevin Magnussen in second. Graham Rahal is third with Luca Ghiotto in fourth. Stoffel Vandoorne is fifth with Pierre Gasly sixth. Will Stevens is in 7th with Joseph Newgarden in 8th. Mitch Evans 9th with Rio Haryanto in 10th. Julian Palmer is 11th with Raffaele Marcello in 12th. Alex Lynn 13th with Connor Daly in 14th. Then in 15th it is David Valsecchi with Nick Yelly in 16th. Daniel Abt 17th with Nobuharu Matsushita in 18th. Stefano Coletti 19th with Sean Galal 20th. And at the back it is Fabio Lima and Simona Di Silvestro rounding it out. That is the grid for the feature race. And now here is the results from the feature race. Sorry for no footage. Alexander Rossi won the race by 16.7 seconds in front of Luca Ghiotto in second. Graham Rahal was third with Raffaele Marcello fourth. Stoffel Vandoorne was fifth on the road, but unfortunately was demoted to 20 seconds back due to an incident that he had with Rio Haryanto and David Valsecchi, so he bumps down to 6th, bumping Connor Daly up to 5th. Kevin Magnussen was 7th with Stefano Coletti rounding out the top 8 and the points positions. Nobuharu Matsushita was 9th with Alex Lane in 10th, David Valsecchi 11th with Will Stevens 12th, Nick Yelly 13th and Fabio Lima in 14th. Then it was Simona Di Silvestro in 15th, the last person to finish. So the finishers that did not finish were Rio Haryanto, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Abt, Mitch Evans, Julian Palmer, Joseph Newgarden and Sean Galal. In the Drivers' Championship, that meant that Rossi took an early lead with 20 points because he took 4 bonus points for taking pole position in the finish for the feature race and also took the fastest lap as well, giving him an extra 2. But he also got another 4 bonus points as before this race they had the sprint race qualifying, which Rossi took poling, so he's already on 20 points. Ghiotto is in second on 8 with Rahal third on 6. Marcello is fourth on 5. Daly is 5th after being promoted to 5th thanks to Vandoorne's time penalty, giving him 4 points. Vandoorne's on 3, Magnussen 2 and Coletti's on 1. In the Constructors' Championship, Buenos Racing Jr. take an early lead with 20 points. Vantaya Racing are in second on 13, with SG Motorsports in third on 6. Adidas Motorsport are fourth on 4, with Steelers Racing fifth on 3. EYDPDP are sixth on 2, with Netflix Motorsport in 7th on 1. And the 4 teams that still yet to get a point were Willows Grand Prix, Yorkshire Motorsport, GRM Junior, and Alitalia Junior team. So, they were the drivers and the results and the constructors for the feature race. So let's move on to the sprint race. First, let's go back to the studio. So there you go. They were the results from the feature race. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I thought initially we had footage for the sprint race, but unfortunately, as I checked today, it seemed that I did download it, of course, but it seems that it has corrupted on my computer. So unfortunately, we cannot show this, unfortunately. I could try and re-download it, but it's been a few days and I can't re-download it because you're only allowed like 14 days to download it. So I do apologise. So we'll show you the results from the sprint race. I do apologise yet again. So, here is the grid then for the sprint race. It's Alexander Rossi, as mentioned previously, again on pole position, with Rio Haryanto this time joining him on the front row. Kevin Magnussen is in third, with Stoffel Vandoorne in fourth. Connor Daly is fifth, with Graham Rahal in sixth. Alex Lynn is seventh, with Mitch Evans in eighth. Jolyon Palmer lines up ninth, with Pierre Gasly in 10th. Sean Galaio 11th, with Will Stevens in 12th. David Falsecchi 13th, with Stefano Coletti in 14th. In 15th place is Joseph Newgarden, disappointing indeed, a lot of work to do for him. Raffaele Marcello also disappointed, a lot of work to do from 16th, same as his teammate Giotto after managing second in the feature race. Fabio Lima is in 18th, with Daniel Abt in 19th, Nobuharu Matsushita is in 20th, and at the back it's the 2 GRM juniors of Nick Yali in 21st and Simona Di Silvestro in 22nd. So, sorry for not introducing the grid, but here is the results of the sprint race. Again, apologies for no footage. Rossi once again took victory, and on top of that took another fastest lap. So he takes another 2 bonus points along with the 4 bonus points he got for pole position and the 6 points that he got for the victory, because remember the top 6 only get points in the sprint race and the points are 6-1 points. So in second place instead was Rio Haryanto, with Kevin Magnussen third, Mitch Evans fourth, Stefano Coletti fifth, Raffaele Marcello sixth, Will Stevens seventh, Fabio Lima eighth, Luca Giotto ninth, Alex Lynn 10th, Simona Di Silvestro 11th, Joseph Newgarden 12th, Nick Yali 13th, Stoff Vandoorne all the way down in 14th after a mistake that he made. Then it was Connor Daly in 15th, with Jolyon Palmer in 16th and David Falsecchi 3 laps down in 17th. And the people that did not finish were Sean Galaio, Daniel Abt, Nobuharu Matsushita, Pierre Gasly and Graham Rahal. So here is the Drivers' Championship then after the first 2 races that have happened. Rossi increases his lead at the top to 20 points in front of Luca Giotto. Magnussen is third with Rahal 4th, Marcello 5th, Haryanto 6th, Vandoorne 7th, Evans 8th, Coletti 9th, and Daly is the last person in the championship to get points so far. The other people that are still yet to score are Stevens, Lima, Matsushita, Lynn, Di Silvestro, Falsecchi, Newgarden, Yalali, Palmer, Gasly, Abt and Galaio. In the Constructors' Championship, Buenos Racing increased their lead even more. They are now 17 points in front of Fantari Racing. Etihad and SG Motorsports are tied in third, Etihad being above SG because they've had higher results. Alitalia Junior team are up to 5th, with Steelers Racing 6th. Then it is Netflix Motorsport 7th and Adidas Motorsport, the final team to score points so far. The 3 teams that still have to score points are Yorkshire Motorsport, Willows Grand Prix and GRM Junior. So there you go guys. They are the results from the feature and sprint races. Sorry for no footage. I thought there was some from the sprint race, but unfortunately the file corrupted on itself. So I do apologise, but I promise there will be some for the next race. And that will take place at the Nürburgring, but stick around because the next bit of highlights will be IFMC, so to look out for that. But until then, I've been JWF1 and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers. This program is sponsored by Ava Media. Brilliant quality for a great price.